What's going on, Ravens fans? The All-Pros are out. I'm not happy. It's bad. But let's talk about it. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to TTP Ravens Media. Bringing Ravens content every single day. If you want to see the daily Ravens content, make sure to hit the subscribe button down below. Hit the notification bell as well if you want to get notified every single time I upload a brand new video now. In this video today, I'm talking about the All-Pros. And I am going to get the immediate out of the way. First team All-Pros were Lamar Jackson, Roquan Smith, Kyle Hamilton. We're not talking about that because my question to the committee, to every single person that was involved in voting, analyzing, and watching the NFL this season. Where is Justin Madubuike? Where's Justin Madubuike? Because Justin Madubuike has been the best interior defensive lineman in the NFL this season. And the two players that were selected over him were Aaron Donald and Chris Jones. Okay? Those are two remarkable players. Two players that I think could very well be, Aaron Donald, obviously, but Chris Jones, I think as well, Hall of Fame players. But that is ridiculous for you to select them over Justin Madubuike when Justin, and I get Chris Jones was on a good defense. A really good defense. A much improved Kansas City Chiefs defense. Aaron Donald, that Rams defense drastically overperformed. I'm not trying to say they're on bad teams. They're bad players. But Justin Madubuike had the best season for an interior defensive player, and he did not get rewarded for that. Now, I will mention, he's second team All-Pro, which is good. That's still a huge thing on your resume. But he deserved first team All-Pro. That is a legacy selection for Aaron Donald and Chris Jones because Justin Madubuike was the leading sack getter on the NFL's team with the most sacks. He was the best interior presence and was able to stop the run for that great defense. And not only was that defense the most sacks, it was also the best defense in the NFL in terms of points against. It also helps for takeaways, but I don't really think about that as best defense in the NFL. I think points against is the best defense in the NFL. Okay? That's what it comes down to. And the Ravens were the best. And Justin Madubuike, I would say, was the third best player on that defense this season. I think it was Kyle Hamilton, I would argue, was the best. Roquan Smith is the second best. Justin Madubuike was the third best. And without Madubuike, that Ravens defense is nowhere near as good as what it could have been. Not to mention, Madubuike tied the NFL record for consecutive games with a sack. Or at least half a sack. NFL record. He didn't tie Chris Jones. He didn't tie Aaron Donald, who are both great players. But Justin Madubuike showed out and deserved that first team All-Pro selection. And he wasn't rewarded for it. And I'm very upset about that, clearly. But I digress. Let's move on. Let's talk about the other players. First off, Lamar Jackson. He got most of the votes. I want to say he got like 45 out of 50 votes. He got like 95%. Or 90% of the first team All-Pro votes, which is great for him. Love to see him getting a first team All-Pro. But that's a huge indicator potentially of what the MVP voting is going to look like, because the guys he's facing, most people would believe are he's facing quarterbacks for that award. And Lamar Jackson ran away in a landslide with that first team All-Pro. And just for historical comparison, a lot of people would consider Tom Brady the greatest quarterback of all time. How many first team All-Pros do you think he had? 3 first team All-Pros. 3 MVPs. Right? First team All-Pros at quarterback is the hardest position because there's one. Right? I guess, you could throw kicker, punter, kick returner, whatever. I don't really care about first team All-Pros for those positions. But there's only one quarterback. And it's a lot harder to be the number one quarterback. I think you get a lot more legacy selections with running backs. You get that with wide receivers, apparently interior defensive linemen as well. But quarterback, all about the statistics, right? All about leading your team. Peyton Manning, I believe, is tied for the most all time. He had 7. Tied with the guy, I've got his jersey right over here, Otto Graham, who also had 7. I was trying to do research into that just because I was curious, but multiple first team All-Pros for a quarterback is great. And Lamar Jackson hopefully will win the 2 MVPs. That's going to be, historical. He's already in the Hall of Fame if he does that. But he deserved it, 100%. Very happy for him. Next up, Roquan Smith. Him and Fred Warner were the first team All-Pro linebackers. Makes sense. They're the clear two best linebackers in the NFL. Next up, Kyle Hamilton. I think he's the best safety in the NFL. There was a bit of a tight race for the other position, in my opinion. I think Antoine Winfield Jr., he ended up getting it. I think he deserved it. But Jesse Bates had an incredible season as well. So if anybody in the comment section wants to say like Jesse Bates 100% should have been in there, I'm not going to argue with you. But Kyle Hamilton deserved it. One of the youngest players to ever be a first-team All-Pro. But he's an absolute superstar. We knew that. And this is starting that campaign where people can finally start saying he's the best safety in the league, hands down. Moving on to the second-team All-Pro. I'm going to skip over Madubuike. I've already talked about him. Shout out to him. He did get second-team All-Pro. That is still an accomplishment, but still frustrating. Second-team All-Pro, linebacker Patrick Queen. Now, I've been critical of Patrick Queen throughout his entire career. However, at the same time, I've ever since we got Roquan Smith, I've said he has looked way better. Significantly better to where he is an elite linebacker in this league. As, what do we talk about? We talk about as the will linebacker. Right, because he was playing Mike originally, and we were like, I think he's struggling. I think him at will would be better. We get Roquan, he switches to Will, and it's like, oh, yeah, he's great. And this certified that he was never going to be first-team All-Pro because he would have had to beat out Rowe or Fred Warner, who, again, two best linebackers in the league. But huge year for Patrick Queen and Madubuike, contract years, both Pro Bowlers and both second-team All-Pro. They earn their money. So shout out to them. And then finally, Project Pancake Pat. Patrick Ricard ended up making it. It's weird not seeing him as first team All-Pro because we no longer have Greg Roman calling him all of those plays. But still a very important part to the Ravens offense when they're trying to run for short yardage situations. He does a great job in blocking for that. And he still does have those hands. Part of that Jackson 5 with a one-handed catch in the end zone against the Miami Dolphins. I love Project Pat. I wish the best for him, but this whole video is really about me wanting to rant about Justin Madubuike not being selected with 13 sacks at the defensive tackle position on the best defense in the NFL, and he was consistent. It wasn't one game against some crappy team he put up 3 sacks, and he would do that only against crappy teams. The Ravens set the NFL record for most wins against 500 teams. 500 win, like that's a winning record. 500 teams, obviously they didn't play 500 teams, but they won 10 games. 10 games. The Ravens they did not have an easy schedule. Madubuike didn't even play the final week, I don't believe. And yet he still was able to rack up 13 sacks in a monster season for a monster defense with a great defensive coordinator. And he did his work, and I think he should have been rewarded. But let me know in the comment section down below, were any Ravens snubbed? I don't necessarily think any were. Maybe Tyler Linderbaum. However, Frank Ragnow, I believe, and Jason Kelsey got it. Those would be my 2 picks. If I was doing it, I actually didn't look at who won in center, but I would assume those were the 2 guys. Let me know if anybody you guys think should have gotten it. But I think it's a solid outside of the Justin Madubuike. I think that's ridiculous. I think he should have been the first guy on the list. I don't even care who's second. But legacy addition, legacy input from those 2 guys, and it's very frustrating in my opinion. But thank you all so much for watching. Subscribe for more Daily Ravens content, and I'll see all of you again tomorrow.